Thomas Creal, welcome on DVTV.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Likewise. What brings a guy who's after movers of black money, funders of terrorism and war criminals to Prague?
Black money's everywhere. Literally and figuratively. It's everywhere.
Who sent you this time?
This time it's at the request of the U.S. Embassy. They wanted more information on what's going on with the cases in New York and also what information I have.
What cases are we specifically speaking about?
There's two of them. One is a criminal case. It's already been filed. Public record. It's against Patrick Ho and Gaudio as defendants, two individuals. But it also includes CEFC, which I'm sure Prague is aware of. And within that complaint is mention of a lot of holdings in Prague. And
which ones?
J&T Bank. I think the soccer team is in there as well. So they're all within the criminal complaint.
The soccer team that is Slavia, owned by CEFC?
Yes. And then the second issue that I briefed the embassy on and others is the civil case that is being developed, not yet filed, and it's out of New York as well by a few hedge fund companies, and those named defendants are connected indirectly right now with the criminal case, but they could all merge together.
So the criminal case you were speaking about is the one of Patrick Ho?
Yes.
Who headed a think tank financed by the Chinese conglomerate CEFC, which is also, as we've said, active in the Czech Republic. And court documents say that Mr. Ho is accused of bribing African officials. How is this case linked to the other one?
It's all about the money. Obviously, that's my world. That's what I've been doing. When you trace money, literally people say, just follow the money, and the answers will come. The evidence will pop up. Literally, that is what's happening. Follow the money. The Chinese money part of it came into the J&T Bank. During that same period, J&T was lending to CPI, Orko Germany, Radovan Vitek, his mother, through these shell companies. So money is being borrowed by the shell companies from J&T. J&T is being financed by the Chinese energy finance company.
Right, you just mentioned Czech billionaire Radovan Vitek. What is his role in the case exactly?
Radovan Vitek is now the 97% owner of those entities I mentioned, Orko, CPI. The reason he got to that is through the shell companies.
Mm-hmm. So what is wrong about it?
On the surface, nothing's wrong with doing an offshore company, a shell company. It's if you damage people along the way and how you get the money. Those are the issues you got to focus on. The civil claim that is being developed in New York is because of damages. It's a RICO case. It's a Racketeering Influence Corruption Act.
So who is damaged? Who did real estate magnate Radovan Vitek damage, according to you?
According to the complaint. I'm piggybacking on this. According to the complaint, the hedge funds were damaged. They were not given the same opportunity to invest as the financed shell companies offshore.
In other words, is a lawsuit being prepared against Radovan Vitek in the U.S.?
Yes, and not only it's being prepared against Radovan Vitek, his mother, because he used his mother a lot in these transactions, J&T Bank, and CPI and Orko.
Could you name the hedge funds?
No, not
Why
yet.
Not?
They've asked to remain nameless. There's 3 of them. They're all out of New York. And I honor, when people ask me to not do that, I honor it. They will be named in the lawsuit. Give it 30 days. It'll come out.
Why 30 days?
They still have some work to do on the lawsuit.
Does it mean we will see you again in 30 days speaking about what's new in that case?
If you invite me, I will. I will gladly come.
Does Mr. Vitek already know about it?
I'm sure he does. I mean, there's grapevines in every industry, and there's leaks. So I'm sure the leaks have gotten out. I'm sure that somehow they know where I am, no matter what country I am. Everybody knows. I've been to Afghanistan. I spent years in Liberia, was at The Hague. Everybody knows where I go.
Does it mean every time you appear somewhere it is bad news for someone?
Well, I think it's good news for other people too. Could be bad news for some, but good news for others.
Ye Jianming, a former CEFC chairman and advisor to the Czech president, has been detained in China. From what you know, how is his detention linked to that African bribery case?
I think it's very, very well documented that he is connected And I think I've done this for a lot of years. I believe the Chinese arrested him, investigated him, and arrested him for political reasons. Otherwise, the U.S. was going to go full force against him. And that means extradition. So I'm convinced that there's a political play in this as well.
Do you understand Czech president's choice to keep him as an advisor?
No. Doesn't matter to me.
I guess, but how do you interpret it?
How do I interpret it? I think it's, you got to let it play out. It's okay, everyone's innocent until proven guilty, so let it continue and play it out. If he is guilty, I would advise terminating that.
In the years of the wild economic transformation from communism to capitalism, the then Czech Prime Minister Václav Klaus said that it is, I quote, difficult to differentiate between clean and dirty money because they look the same. Do you agree?
No.
So how do you recognize dirty?
Dirty money is black money to me. And it's just like money laundering. Money laundering is typically dirty money at the beginning. The reason you use the word laundering is you're cleansing it along the way. So if you've got black money at the beginning, dirty money, you will know it is dirty. It's drug money. It's corruption. It's bribery. The other type of money laundering or black money is it's used for bad things on the other side. It could be perfectly clean at the beginning, but it's used for terrorist, suicide attacks, killing, thuggery, theft. So black money can be on either side. I guarantee it, if you analyze the black money chain of commerce, you will determine which is clean and which is dirty.
Which means, according to you, it's not that hard to tell, as Václav Klaus was assuming.
It depends on the situation on how hard it is to tell, but you can get it done.
How do you do that, tracing money?
Well, it's evolved over time. I started a long time ago, unfortunately. I'm still old school in certain techniques.
What does it mean?
Old school? It means you literally go to the places where the money is, which is why I'm here.
As opposed to, what would the new school method be?
Sitting in front of a computer screen.
And never leaving it?
Yes.
So you do work with somebody else who is new school?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I use all those guys. Social media is a great example of new school. Twitter, Facebook, a lot of information is shared. A lot of the really bad black money movers use Twitter to raise money for terrorist actions. We can get a team on the other side of the ledger to really drill down, find out which bank they're using, and then we can freeze that account.
So how many people does it take in average?
I always like a team of 11.
11?
Yes.
How about 12?
I like
12
11.
angry men, I mean. I would suppose that is a symbolic number.
Actually, in Afghanistan, we had 21. But I like 11. I like your forensic accountants, your data analysts, your legal team, your intel guys, and then your security. So it adds up to 11.
Well, your evidence helped to convict former Liberian President Charles Taylor of war crimes in neighboring Sierra Leone. How big is your satisfaction when you help jail a suspect?
Huge. Huge. He was a very bad guy. And he's serving 60 years. It was the case at Hague. He's serving for funding the acts of war crimes. Not for pulling the trigger, but for actually funding it. And we were able to, I spent 6 years in Liberia. We were able to go under houses, find the bank records, find the evidence, build it, and then present it at The Hague. He was convicted, fair trial all the way. We won on appeal, actually. But that shows that it's not just the guys pulling the triggers. It's the guys that are funding the bad acts as well. So the same thing in the civil world in a RICO case, it's not just the bad things, it's the guys funding the bad things too.
Now, you said the satisfaction in those cases is huge. How huge is your frustration when the opposite happens, when you manage to map out flows of illicit money, but justice is not served?
My advice is never quit. I mean, never quit. Because these thieves never quit, the bad guys never quit. They'll come back and try it again. We'll come back and try and prosecute them again.
You also investigated financing of the Taliban and embezzlement of funds slated for rebuilding Afghanistan. What are the sources of money for terrorist operations?
They're very creative. I'll say this, is that don't think they're dumb. They may look dumb because they're in ragtag clothes and they're in tennis shoes or sneakers. These guys are very bright at raising money, They use social media. They use Twitter. In Afghanistan, they actually used U.S. dollars, and they would give it to road contracts, and then the bad guys would extort and use that to fund the bad things.
Now, what are the most common sources where they make money to fund their operations?
Well, Afghanistan, it's easy. It's
Drugs?
Heroin, drugs, yeah. But don't
What
think
are the others?
It's our money. It's the humanitarian aid. We're sending it there, and World Bank is included.
Does
NATO.
it mean we shouldn't send any humanitarian aid?
No, we should. We need to have better eyeballs on it, which we did. I started there in 2010. Within about 18 months, we had the Taliban almost broke. So that was great news. Now the fact that we withdrew and NATO went home, now they've rebuilt themselves.
What's the most common method that these groups use to move money?
Thuggery and extortion. They will get other people to do their money movement. They will. They had a thing over there called investments. They would invest in people.
What does it mean precisely?
They would put $50,000 in your family's bank account. They would pay off your mortgage. They would give you cash for the family's schooling. And then they would own you, and you would have to do something in the future. Move money.
Does it really work like that?
Yes. Yep, 100%. And that's sad.
It is. How has the use of cryptocurrencies changed your work?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
New school?
Definitely new school. Not impossible. And here's the example, and I'll use it. What I've learned in some of these Mideast countries, in Afghanistan, you have awaladars. You have guys that move money, and they're invisible. But what I found is that they have bank accounts. So they, like in the crypto world, you may move money, but eventually you're going to put it into a bank. And then you can start tracing it. It may go off the grid, but it pops back up.
What if there is no stage at which a bank is used?
Then it's tougher. Not impossible, but tougher.
How come it's not impossible?
Because it's how the money is used. Remember I was telling you that either if it's used for bad things, then those bad things will happen. That's the unfortunate part, is they have to happen first for us to take action. I'd rather have the proactive.
For instance, on the darknet, you still know how to, or better said, you already know how to decipher transactions on the darknet as well?
Yeah, the darknet is also tough.
I guess.
But not impossible again.
One would think that number crunching is boring, but you co-created a game app based on your money tracing adventures. How did you get the idea?
I work with a lot of people, diplomats, attorneys, intel. We try and be creative. It's just not the same cookie cutter approach all the time. So you want different weapons. They always said you should write a book. You should teach classes. And I said, no, I got to do something that reaches billions of people. So the game idea, just like Candy Crush. Now there's a game out there with black money. What scares the people the most is the people that play it. All these Afghans are playing it. All the guys in the Balkans are playing it. The Syrians are playing it. The younger generation. And they're walking away with the message that black money is bad. We hate corruption. That's the message.
What if they discover that there's adrenaline in it and that they actually enjoy it?
Enjoy the black money? There are. I mean, those. You are so right. That's what scares me the most, is the wannabes. You know, you have your Charles Taylor, president of Liberia, bad guy. You have your drug lords, the kingpins. Those guys are bad. And you always have people that want to be just like them because they have the fancy cars, they have the money. That's what scares me the most. The guys that are doing the attacks in the U.S., the schools, the bombings, they're wannabes.
What is there for us to do to prevent the evil to be attractive?
Yeah, it'll always be around. Unfortunately, it's the world we live in. It's history. It's the future. It's sad to say that it'll be around. If there, I will always believe that if there's more good than bad, we will win.
Thomas Creal, thank you very much for your insight.
My pleasure. Thank you.